Hey y'all, it's November the 13th, 2015, and shout out to my nigga, El Nino. Keep doing the damn thing. Anyways, here's the news. Shit's bad, alright? And it's getting worse. Y'all might recall a town by the name of Katy, Texas, outside of Houston. This is a town that, if you know anything about it, apparently, if you think God exists, well, then you're wrong and you're going to get zeros on papers. Right, but not only that, Katy, Texas keeps popping up in the news. Apparently, a dispute over a transgendered child in Katy has become a nationwide controversy after two daycare workers were fired, claiming they claim it was because they refused to call a 6-year-old girl by her new male name when the parents of that child, who was born a girl, suddenly announced that the child had transitioned. All right, there's a picture of one of the ladies. I forget her name. It's up there. Anyways, uh, this lady and another lady in the daycare went ahead and refused to ruin this child's life at the tender age of 6. All right. Now, you might be already aware that this 6-year-old child was probably sat in front of the television, and the television is completely slathered in courageous transgender people. All right. So you can imagine where the confusion has set in. But here's the thing about it. Here's what you may not know about this story already. And that is the parents of this suddenly transgendered 6-year-old are in fact a same-sex couple. And I'm actually not sure if it's men or ladies, but I'm going to assume that it's men. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, all right, so now you have a situation that was described carefully for y'all many years ago, in which people said, you know what, we're not comfortable with same-sex couples raising children. We're just not comfortable because the thing is, chances are you're gonna confuse uh, the heck out of these children. They're not gonna know up from down, and that's pretty abusive. To where same-sex couples said, no, pish posh, that's preposterous. That will never happen. And here's a perfect example of that happening right there. And guess what? If you refuse to participate in the ruining of this child's life, well, then you're going to be fired. And then after you're fired, the company that fired you, they're going to say, no, this had nothing to do with that particular situation. This had everything to do with something else that we're not going to mention. Moving on, as far as Missouri University, which is a nightmare hellhole, um, many colleges across the country are starting to follow suit. And how they're doing it is marches. That's right, walks and marches, because we know how useful those are and productive. So the students, they're getting together across the nation at certain universities, and they're marching. They want to get rid of certain stuff like uh, all their debt that they've incurred, that they've signed their names onto. They want to have free public school, even though that shit is impossible. Somebody's gonna wind up paying for it. Guess who that is? The taxpayers. All right, and they also want preposterous things like a damn $15 minimum wage because they have no idea how economics work, and they probably think that the college is gonna pay them this $15 minimum wage for the jobs done by college students who today have no fucking clue how to work at all. No, in fact, that's gonna be paid by the taxpayers as well. And so let's see what comes of that. All right. Apparently, Yale even had a teach-in discussion concerning, colored people over at Yale. They said it was a forum dedicated to the educating of the community about the issues faced by people of color at Yale. All right. And they had a panel, and that panel discussed topics including mental health. And you got that right, microaggressions. You're going to hear that word more and more, and more and more and more and more as time goes on. They discussed systemic racism, which is hilarious because Yale is a university, it's an Ivy League college in which people with lots of money and lots of connections go there. All right, so you're pretty much almost at the tippy tops of connections just by being there, but instead you still feel like a victim. All right, and for some reason, all sorts of preposterous things popped up at these marches, things that you might not even have considered. Palestinian flags started popping up at these marches for no good reason. No good reason at all. Let's move on. Comcast, they got hated on recently. Comcast, that's that internet provider, and they provide television. They got hated on. And the reason being is because apparently they started refusing. They actually refused and canceled some appointments uh, to go fix the internet and the television over on Chicago's South Side. Now, before I even start, I'm not from Illinois. I've never been to Illinois, all right? But I can tell you this for a fact. I can guarantee you this. The last place you ever want to be, especially if you're a white person, but also if you're a black person or a person in general, is the South Side of Chicago. Why? Because it's a murder factory. And if you have anything that's of any sort of value, that's going to get robbed from you as you're being raped and murdered. All right, so let's get into this. According to this article I just read, it says we've all suffered through the purgatory that is waiting for a Comcast technician to arrive. This is some sort of pastor or whatever named Michael Flager at St. Sabina's Church on the south side of Chicago. He said, we've all waited for the internet and the television guy to come and fix our cable. He said, but Comcast may have tried the wrong customer's patience Wednesday afternoon when reps informed Southside Reverend, an anti-violence activist who's not doing a good job, Michael Fledger, that they wouldn't be able to send a technician out to repair St. Sabina's Church internet because of the active police crime alert, which I'm pretty sure was authentic. And I'm also pretty sure that if you are an anti-violence activist on the south side of Chicago, the very least of your worries is your Wi-Fi. All right. A supervisor at Comcast just informed us. This is actually it's like a tweet or something that Michael Fletcher put out. He said a supervisor at Comcast just informed us that they couldn't send their technicians out to repair our internet service today for fear that they would be murdered and robbed because our area has too much violence. And then he said, are you kidding me? You don't want to get murdered and robbed and then murdered again because we want some sort of internet connection? Oh, hell no. And afterwards, when Comcast finally said, you know what, we got to save face and we got to send people out there, I don't know, strap them up or something, it's going to be dangerous. They finally sent out people because this person needed their internet so bad on the south side of Chicago, also named Chirac for good reason. Said, well, guess what? After Facebook goes off and calls the media because they needed their little authorities to come make sure that things were done for them. So suddenly calls from Comcast come and two technicians and a supervisor show up. They probably were strapped to do the work. My question is why? Why did it take pressure to do the right thing? I don't know. It could have had something to do with the fucking murders. Anyways, and what about Miss Jones on the block? that is treated like that. If they would tell our employment center that, then how is an ordinary citizen going to be treated? They're probably going to be treated with violence because they live on the south side of Chicago. Anyways, I saw an article about a robot giving a lecture at one of these TED Talks, and I looked into it. First of all, before I looked into it, I was like, you know what? There's hardly anything that's more disgusting and sinister than the idea of a robot with artificial intelligence lecturing human beings. That's disgusting. But then I looked into it and I actually saw that it wasn't really an AI robot giving a lecture. In fact, it was just a robot avatar making little hand gestures and basically being a microphone for a dude behind the stage who's doing a speech. And that was lame as hell. I don't care if you like robots or you don't like robots or if you're just in between about robots. That's lame. That's pretty lame. I mean, I've been seeing that for a while now. So I don't know why that's even news. I thought I would bring that up to you though. All right. A psychology study at a university, and I forget which one. I think it was somewhere in the Southwest. Psychology study shows that if you completely badger citizens with door hangers and suggestions of how they are criminals and evil people for using water, if you completely badger them and say, you know what, it's time for you to get on the team because we're saving water. If you don't save water, you're a damn evil bastard, all right? If you put enough door hangers on the doors of citizens, well, guess what? Water is going to start being used less. And that is some sort of study uh, in Nazism, water Nazism, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. Thing is, if you're rich, you can have a damn water park in your backyard and no one's going to say a damn thing to you. You understand? But if you're a regular person, don't you dare, I mean, don't you dare take a 3.5 minute shower. You better learn how to take your ass a 3 minute shower, you evil son of a bitch. Let's see if we can't cover one more. All right. Iran. Now, you might have noticed that uh, bastards like Barack Obama and the like are bending over backwards for Iran. They're really taking it high and hard from Iran, and they're saying, "Thank you. Can I have another? Can I have another and another?" And Iran, that's not good enough for them. All right. Apparently, Rouhani, their president, he says that's not good enough. I don't care that you're building our bullshit nuclear reactor that somehow needs to be rebuilt. I don't care about none of that. I don't care that you're giving us all sorts of goodies and leeway and stuff like that. If you want to get in good with Iran, you better apologize for everything that y'all did to us over the past 37 years. It's the only way you're going to make relations good. However, Iran's top authority, apparently the president isn't, um, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he does not agree at all. He continued to rule out normalizing ties with the great Satan. That would be the United States of America, who's rebuilding their nuclear shit and giving them all sorts of nuclear capabilities. The great Satan, as he routinely calls the United States. If they modify their policies, correct errors committed over the past 37 years, and apologize to the Iranian people, the situation will change and things can happen. I wonder what kind of things. That's what Rouhani said. Of course, his boss said, fuck that because they're Satan. Let them give us all sorts of goodies, but still we hate their guts. Anyways, I'm gonna have to make another video. I'm saying the news has kind of ran on again, as it does. Shit is bad. It is getting worse. This is November the 13th, 2015.